So the first thing we typically start with here is the good. What was like a handful of things that was good about Evergrace? Alex, I figured you had no idea what to say. I did not feel like you had many thoughts about this game overall, generally. I could be wrong about that. Everything about everything is good. There is nothing bad. There you go. Everything. Everything. There you go. So what I really like about this game, one thing for sure, is I feel like the combat just like a really good pace to it. Like this is, and just so you know, this is not ever like super clean here as we do this, but you know, I thought it was like a well-paced combat. It does not look like super engaging in a lot of ways, but I think a lot about spacing and the timing aspect of like using your like power bar and like holding down the power or the button using like the like analog buttons on the PS2. I think that all works really, really well here. As a concept, I think for a lot of people, the gameplay itself probably won't do a lot, but I think it's like a well-paced, like deliberate combat system. I don't know if that's the best way to put that. Well-paced, deliberate combat system or something like that. I don't know. Let me think about this. How do I want to word this? Maybe just like satisfying combat system. Maybe just sum it up like that rather than specify everything for that. Music and visuals. Yeah, it is well-paced. Maybe we should say well-paced. Satisfying. I don't know if I just want to specifically say like well-paced in here, because I worry that means like we're saying that the combat is well-paced and that's like the only good thing about it, but yeah, just saying satisfying combat system I think alone is a little bland. Well-paced combat system. We'll stick with that for now. Funny voice acting. So that can be a good or a bad. It was like the voice acting is funny or just bad, but I think the typos are like whatever. It doesn't like hurt the game at all, so that's not really a big deal. Like usually we focus on things like there's frame rate issues in this game. I don't really care. Like it's kind of fine. The story is super disjointed and it contributes to a dreamlike atmosphere. Interesting. Let me just add that as a bullet point like here. Dreamlike atmosphere. I could see that in a lot of ways. There's a lot of just like not like things about this game that feel very disjointed in a way that feels good. I don't know the right way to put that yet, but I feel like the charming personality might fit in like the dreamlike atmosphere, Mr. T, in terms of that. With hit detection, with enemies like Taboo. Oh, like the thing. Yeah, that is a good point. That like sometimes, I mean, it is. I'm gonna be honest with you. Probably like a easy, maybe like Janky Controls and what would be a good way to put that? Janky Controls and like I think my brain is saying Janky Controls and combat, but it's not really the combat. Like there's two sides of the combat. Like it doesn't control that bad. Maybe it's maybe it's not even the controls are janky. Maybe that's not it. There is like a connection issue almost when you're like hitting enemies. Like, well, that's a bad. Sorry, we'll get back to that. Let me leave a note for myself for that. We need to come back to that once we get to the bad. We're talking about the good right now. Joseph says hit detection. I think there's something to be said about that though. I'm gonna say janky combat up there for now. I got a separate sheet here for the bad. Are we on the page of that the cheesy voice acting is good in this game? I'm always kind of mixed on cheesy voice acting. I do like it, but sometimes it feels like it kind of undermines other aspects of the game in some ways. It's very evocative. Yeah, I can see that. I think that might fit in the dreamlike atmosphere. Mario Party with the the like dreamlike atmosphere and aesthetic, maybe something along those lines. Cheesy voice acting is a plus, just expected from this era. I could see that. Yeah, it is kind of expected. It is. I think some of the last sets of voice acting towards the end were kind of fun. I don't know if like the earlier delivery was like nearly as kind of like weird. There's not a ton of voice acting though, honestly. Let me put on the list for now. Cheesy voice acting. Maybe entertaining voice acting. Entertaining cheesy voice acting. Kind of long. It fits the page though. Aesthetic is bleeding off as well. Maybe I should just remove aesthetic actually. Maybe dreamlike aesthetic. Does that fit? Does that kind of encompass atmosphere? Well done aesthetic. Like that. Horny atmosphere. I do want to get to the clothes part though. Mario Party, I've not forgotten. The clothes, like... We might, as much as I want to specify the clothing part, I feel like just generally there is generally good puzzle design in this game. Like, it feels like when you're solving puzzles in this game, it does feel like you're really solving puzzles. Like, it doesn't feel like the game's just giving it to you. This is such a hard game for me to put in words for me. Like, there's something I want to say about, like, I think there's something to be said about the level design of this game and the puzzle design. Those are two things that I think are very important to me in this game, because it is like really compact in a way that like it's not hard to like get lost or something like that, or like it doesn't feel too big to explore and like exhaust all your options kind of thing. And like usually when you do that, like you almost always find something that helps you out somewhere else kind of thing, and it's like done in a way that like it never really leads you there. It just kind of ends up naturally happening in some ways, and that kind of, you know, you make that like the game never really never connects back to what you need to solve using that. It just kind of like gives it to you like, oh, okay, like I need to go use this there. I don't know how to put it. It's so... This is my concern. Like, I'd come into this and not really know what I want to say. I think I've come into this not really knowing what I want to say about the dungeon design and world design and puzzle design, really. Maybe it's just like I think what I'm really trying to say is something about like not being like not like handheld. It does not hold your hand, right? This is not what I want to have as a final text here. It like does not have a hand-holdy design. But there's something to like I want to say with that, and I don't know what it is, and it's not that, because I don't think it not having a hand-holdy design specifically is what interests me. I think it's like how you kind of get around the levels and stuff, and how you kind of naturally stumble across things is specifically what I'm looking for here. I could just literally say like compact and something about dungeon design, maybe. Sorry, I am suffering right now trying to write this. Unpretentious, is that what I'm looking for? Maybe. I don't know if it encourages you to be creative. I guess it depends on what you mean by creative. There's a particular solution it's asking for. It's like, look for the blue armor. Please, dear God, put the blue armor on. Like, I don't think that's something that it's really, like, creative on your part to do, right? But freeform world design. Is freeform the word I'm looking for? Sorry, this suddenly became, like, all about my point right now. Maybe freeform dungeon design. Maybe. I think I might have to settle with that for now. The store coupon thing is kind of interesting, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't probably put that on this list specifically, but there's kind of like a lot good about Evergrace, honestly, that I feel like I can't even fit on this list. Dreamlike world and aesthetic, well-paced combat, entertaining cheesy voice acting. Like, I'm almost like wanting to cut off cheesy voice acting because, like, as fun as it is, I don't know if that's something special to this game per se, right? So there's a lot of variety in armor customization. Sorry, we're taking off the everything. Lots of variety, lots of weapon and armor variety. I like do something like that. I'm gonna change it to an ampersand sign. Lots of weapon and armor variety. I think that probably fits. Thus everything, yeah. Sorry, everything's gone for now. I don't know if it feels like a one-of-a-kind experience. I would very hesitate to say it feels like a one-of-a-kind of experience. There would be like particular things about the game I'd say are distinct. But maybe that, like, I wonder if part of that just comes from, I feel like I have not explored like the space well enough with like From Software games and other games that take this approach with like Kingsfield and all those kind of things. So claiming it as like a one-of-a-kind of experience definitely makes me like hesitate. You know, we have like the Secret of Mana combat system that has a similar kind of power mechanic, and you have like Valis, things like that, and like I definitely think there are other like dream-like world kind of games that maybe Evergrace has like its own particular flavor for it, but I think there are other games that kind of go for this thing. So I would really hesitate to say it's like a one kind of experience, one of a kind experience for that. Obviously, like on its own, yes, it is, but like I don't think that's like a, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything this game specifically doing on its own that like amounts to that. Does that make sense? And I think I would feel more comfortable making that distinction of like, this is a distinct game if I had more experience in this space. Unless you guys feel that way. If it's like an overwhelming feeling on it, then I'm definitely open to that. But sorry, I'm watching the opening of the game over here while we're sitting here. But yeah. I really don't like this freeform dungeon design thing. Like, I know what I'm trying to say there. I just don't know how to say it. Maybe loose. I don't know if freeform is necessarily what I'm saying here. What are some like synonyms for like loose? Is there a word that I'm looking for there? Wobbly, rickety, insecure, unattached, detached. None of those work. Easy, free, unloose. Undirected? Is undirected a word? I feel like undirected might be the word I'm looking for here. Like, I don't think it's as good as a word for like sounding like a positive. But I think it's more accurate to what I'm trying to say here, at the very least. Open-ended might be a good option, actually. That might be the most, like, video gamey word. I would hesitate. Look at the definition of open-ended. I would probably hesitate for that as well. I think if I was thinking of, like, open-ended, I would think of something that's a bit more... like, maybe, like, Breath of the Wild, right? That kind of, like, space in some ways, so... I think the music's good. I don't know if I love the soundtrack, but I think the music is good. It's a weird soundtrack, that's for sure. But maybe I don't like it because it's weird. I don't know. I would not say that like the first thing I would talk about, like if I was talking about positive things about Evergrace, would be its soundtrack. It's a good soundtrack though. I just don't think it's like one of the standout things about it. How do we feel about this list? We actually have a pretty like well listed thing here. Is there anything that somebody's looking at this list and like we're clearly missing something on here? Cool visually. Yeah, I think we got dreamlike world and aesthetic. I think it kind of fits the cool visuals part of it. Yeah. I'm gonna give us a few more seconds here on the good. So if you have anything in specific you guys want to add in, let me know. We'll leave the entertaining cheesy voice acting. Nothing. Where's Oscar and his GACT recommendation? This game does not include GACT though, unfortunately. All right, we can move on. The good is not locked yet, so if you are like, hey, actually, let me know. All right. Final boss was interesting. Final boss was interesting. I don't know if that's something I would put as like a whole like point on this review, especially since we have such precious space in the good section. If you don't know, I can't go like this looks bigger than it probably is, but when we get to the final screen, you're gonna see that we do not have a lot of space to work with. So killing the hardest moth ever, yeah. It was an interesting fight. It was a little simple, but like it made sense. It worked. It leaned into the combat of that game and how it worked. So I think it was like a really good like ending boss fight. Not to say Charlene is good. Is there anything to say about the characters? I know you love Charlene. I feel like from a me perspective, as somebody who is like not super like invested in, like I still don't really understand what happened in the story of this game, to be honest. Like I understand the like immediate things, but like the overarching story, like I still don't know what like Darlene and Darius or Darlene, Charlene and Darius came from and stuff like that. Like I feel like their characters also get a little lost in that as well. As somebody who's just like playing this game as like a dummy who's just like, yes, video game, I will watch cutscene, kind of thing. I think it's a little different when you start getting deeper into that stuff. And I think you mentioned that there's like the lore, there's like some lore sections in the game as well. Or that's just like the monster stuff. Difficulty can be frustrating. It can be. Are we in agreement about that? For me, there was definitely moments of just like, ah, shit, like I fucked up. I don't know if it was like, I think the difficulty can be frustrating. Let me tell you what I'm thinking, Mr. T, because like I'm a little split on this. Yes, there are things about the difficulty that are hard inherently. That's a word. I just said a sentence out of my mouth. There are things about the difficulty that can be frustrating, like falling off a cliff and dying. I feel like a lot of it is preventable, though. It doesn't feel like, as a Castlevania 64 lover, let me just say this. Castlevania 64 has like particular jumps in that game where you jump to the side, right? And there's a whole reason that's there in the game or whatever. And like, if you know what you're doing with the controls, you can avoid it. Like, but I'd still say it's like a negative on that game in terms of like how you die kind of thing in that regard. Like maybe it like gets worked into the difficulty and like the difficulty of platforming in that game. I don't know if there's anything in this game that I feel like I died because something was wrong with how I interacted with the character or how I controlled the game. If I died, it usually felt like I was being careless with heals or I was stupid and walked off an edge somewhere or something like that. And I feel like that is a part of the challenge of the game, right? Like edges are inherently dangerous, and it makes you want to stay away from the edge. There was the part during the weird like Smash Brothers boss fight where I just got like pushed off to the back and like fell on the ice and just like stuck there. Admittedly, like I think that was kind of obvious that would probably end up happening because I was just like running in there and casting fire. That hitbox on that thing was weird. I don't understand that, and we'll get back to that here in a second. But I don't know if they're like the frustration with the difficulty has anything to do with like the game itself almost, if that makes sense. Evergrace 2 does exist. That was a big long ramble. But I think the difficulty is justified here, I will say, personally. Some of the area design is a little, yeah. Like, after I just praised the area design, it is, like, can look a little samey. Areas can look a bit samey. They are, like almost maze-ish. Like, I don't know. Admittedly, like, part of the problem with the spider area was, like, I was talking on stream. That's something we always have to keep in mind. So... I don't know if it's the difficulty of the time. I think it's a difficulty of a particular type of game. I mean, I think you saw that kind of continue with Dark Souls and Demon Souls, right? As somebody who's not really played those games. Like, I think that was something that was always happening. It just was, like, relegated to releases like this, where, like, the only time anybody would even probably note this would be, like, during the launch window, right? And, like, I have a PS2, and I have nothing else to play on the system, then I'm going to play Evergrace right now. For, like, most people, right? Not people like us, but... Because, like, there are definitely games that are very hand-holdy and easy at the time as well. Like, I feel like most mainstream games did not have this level of difficulty to it. At the time, at least. It is very PS1 jank, yeah. Sorry, I feel like I'm gatekeeping everything right here, right now. It's like, don't fucking say anything bad about Evergrace. Music is just there. I don't think music is there is, like, a big negative, really, probably. Difficulty. Do we put anything about difficulty? Is anyone else here, like, passionate about the difficulty argument there? Kind of thing. Is it just me and Mr. T on that stock sounding music? I don't think the music sounds stock. The music sounds crazy, honestly, more than anything. Like, it is a little weird, but it is jank. Let's get to the combat jank thing, because that's something I think I can, like, go ahead and put on the, like, something about how this game, like, the controls of this game are not necessarily bad, but the reaction, the hit reaction in combat, as satisfying it is to, like, stab something and it flies back, like, comboing, when you're gonna hit enemies, things like that is not very clear. Maybe, like... Is jank the word we want to use? Yeah, we have a lot of contentious feelings about music here, I feel like. Kind of all over the place. I don't think the music is either good enough, like, personally I don't think one of the music's, like, good enough or bad enough to, like, single out. I will just say, if we want to say, like, it has a distinct soundtrack, I can get behind that. Like, that is for sure. Does that sound, like, reasonable? Yeah, I think the arrow thing specifically, though, that is falling under, like, some kind of, like, there's some interaction there, right? That is not necessarily, like, I don't want to, I guess the problem I'm having is, like, it is janky combat in some ways, right? It is janky. What did we say good about combat? Well, let me revisit. Let me revisit this. What was my statement? Well-paced combat. Combat can be well-paced but janky. I think that's something we can say. Janky combat. Janky game feel. It's janky. Janky and stiff. I think I can get behind that statement, as much as I don't think it really, like, affects the game that much. Or rather, I don't think that's what's important in terms of the combat. I can get behind that, I think. History of the Chaos. Oh yeah, the Chaos Flame. I tried using that like 8 times and never could figure it out. Oh, I was gonna check the manual. Let's see if the manual says anything about Chaos Flame. I think janky and stiff combat fits the arrow thing though. For that. All right. my worn copy of Evergrace. Where is the Palmyra? 2 main characters, 2 storylines. It all that turns into one. There are not enough pages in here, I think, to list out all the Palmyra, so. Yeah, no. There's a notes section. You can say what Chaos Flame does in the back if you read in the notes section. H-Tech limited warranty. I think the person took the limited warranty card on this. You can see like the little edges. Yeah, I definitely think there's like maybe a little, maybe we can talk about a little bit, just like, the cheesy voice acting is good. Does, what do I want to say? How do we want to do that? Because it's... Is it that there's not enough, like... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the delivery of it. I think I'm thinking of 2 things right now. I'm trying to think if we can put those together. One, the voice acting kind of hurts the delivery of the game, right? Just how it is when you have cheesy voice acting in a lot of ways. And this is a game that I think voice acting, like, the tone matters probably. And I feel like you probably are completely missing whatever. I mean, I don't know the original Japanese game, but you were probably completely missing, like, the original tone in a lot way because of that. And then I also think that maybe there's, like, a little too many gaps in how the story is built. Polarizing soundtrack? Oh, yeah, I'm doing this in the bad section. I'm sorry. I'm getting all mixed up tonight. Distinct soundtrack's a good thing, right? Is that what we're doing that? We're going to go back and add that? Sorry. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with this. Cheapens the emotional weight of the story. Yeah. Voice tone. Fills emotion. Voice. Voice delivery. Voice delivery kills tone? Is that what I'm looking at? Does that sound reasonable? And then I'm a little hesitant to put like sparse story development or something like that, because we did kind of praise the dreamlike atmosphere, and I feel like the gaps in the story contributes to that, right? I don't know if you can have that dreamlike atmosphere and have a greater like maybe you can increase it. Like it does feel like there's just like, I don't really fully understand what happened from, I don't know. Like, I feel like I understood the story of what happened between Morpheus is doing human research. We fucked that up and it's done. Right? That story is there. That story's done. There's a kid. It's her son. You murdered him. And now the world's fine. Right? Like, there's like, I feel like that core story is there, it exists, and it works. Yeah. Is what we want out of the like additional story, is it the problem of there's just not a lot of character development? Do you think that's probably what it is? Because I feel like the core storyline tells its story, but you don't really find out too much about who these people are, why they're here. Not that you need a ton of detail, but like I feel like some characters feel like they should have more weight in the storytelling. Like that dude who's just like when you meet him as Darius and he's like, do you know Charlene? Like, it seems like he was like, had a moment with Charlene, like as a, like, we met up, we did some stuff, and then we, you know, I don't know what happened to Charlene, she's gone. But like, there's nothing really that happens with that. And then he's just like in the lava cave, like, do you know that girl? It's just like, and seeing Charlene not really have any interaction with her was strange. Admittedly, like in this world, maybe like the sparseness of seeing anybody would be like a notable moment, but yeah. Because I don't think that, yeah, maybe it's not so much the story development as much as the character development. Would you agree with that, Mario Party? Would you be on board with me with that? Charlene just knows Darius. That is true. I don't know if the story itself, like, some of the background details for sure, but I don't know if it's, like, bad enough. Like, yes, it'd be, like, fine to learn more, but at the same time, I feel like we kind of know enough for what's happening. Is, I guess, my feeling on that. It's our review. It's our review, Mario Party. It's a community review. I'm just the bully that gets to play gatekeeper. That's why I try to like make sure I do include other people's stuff. While that's happening, let me go ahead and we'll try to slip in the what's it called, the Stink soundtrack in here. I think we're saying that the soundtrack's gonna be good, right? So Stink soundtrack. Well, we're operating on 0.5s, so I'm gonna, unless you have any real strength or real problems with that, I'm gonna say sparse character development. I think that seems reasonable to me. All right, I think that's reasonable. And then you went and got the book, but we're not reviewing the book. So. All right. Am I missing anything? Janky stiff combat. Voice delivery kills the tone. It's basically a 10 scale in disguise. You were right, Joseph. Although I feel like a 2.5 hits different than a 5 out of 10, I will say. For some reason. I don't know why. Like, 5 out of 10 sounds like a terrible video game. But 2.5 for some reason sounds like reasonable. I don't know why there's that distinction, but I know, Alex, you said you didn't like the music or you didn't really care for it. That's a bad there, but I think we have overall probably leaned on the better side of that. Is this it? Is this the 3? Are we gonna, like, are we good to move on? Are we good? All right, Oscar's not here, so I gotta represent Oscar. All right, there we go. I feel like the ice cave was the one place with that, and I would probably maybe put that into, I guess, does the game world feel janky overall? I really feel like that ice area is like the one specific. I will say this. Sometimes, like, let's do this. Let me add this is not really related to what you're saying, but some solutions can be obscure. I think generally the game does fine with this, but there are moments where this happens. Yeah, I capitalized B. I was like, I'm pretty sure I capitalized B in there. And be obscure. Yeah. Yeah. Most people think 7's average. That is generally how our brains have been trained. I'm gonna say, unless you have any other examples outside of the ice thing, I think we're probably fine. I don't think there's like enough glitches in this game to be that weird. So it is a weird area for sure. And that can be misleading. But it did make me think about how I had a hard time figuring out what I had to do in that area. So like some solutions can be obscure. So yeah, it was weird. I do agree with that for sure. So, all right. My camera's messed up again. Don't worry about it. There's Dirge of Cerberus. That's Bujin Guy too. All right, so this is why I was like, this is why we have to worry about the amount of text we have here. So let me see if I can reorient this to just make this work. I don't think I can. All right, let me try to reword some of this stuff real quick here. What's too long? Dungeons and puzzles. Got that. Good weapon and armor variety. Cheesy voice acting. Okay, we got that. I think good is probably fine there. We do probably have one extra line. Is anyone willing to sacrifice any of these things? Is the cheesy voice acting a real standout part of Evergrace? I feel like the voice acting could have been worse. Is anyone dying on that hill? What do we got? Distinct soundtrack, weapon armor variety, undirected. Remove soundtrack. Mr. T, I think you said both cheesy voice acting and soundtrack. Are there one of those that you're willing to give up? Joseph says voice acting is whatever. Let me go fix the bad while we wait for a final opinion there. Development fix, just barely. Solutions. I think just solutions will be fine. Not enough GAC, not enough GAC's fine. Sparse character development, delivery kills tone. Yep. Is there a way we can say sparse less? Holy. That's fine. It fits on the page. That's fine enough. Voice acting was just there. You said voice acting? All right. Well, I don't see Mr. T. Maybe remove voice acting. I don't know if Mr. T's tighten up a storm or if he's just not here right now. I'm leaning on the distinct soundtrack. As much as I enjoy the soundtrack for this game, I'm kind of feel evenly about cheesy voice acting and soundtrack, but all right, we're here. All right, we gotta do a score now. What are we thinking? Where are you guys on the scoring scale? For anyone who's new here, it's a 0.5 scale. So we got 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. We generally try to get to what these faces look like. Like we generally try to follow that face guideline. Give me your scores. Give me your scores. 2.5 or 3. Okay. You didn't care much, but you want to be like, Alex, say what you believe, man. If we were fair, most of the video games we'd be playing right now, Alex, would probably be getting 3s. 2.5. Mario Party, you are in here. You could maybe try to like tilt your bias down a little bit, Mario Party. See where you feel. 2.5. Okay, we got a couple 2.5s here. 2.5. Oh, you guys hurting me. 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Got 3 2.5. So we're sitting like right here. Let me tell you where I'm at. I am like right here. Evergrace is pretty great. 7? Yeah. So. Oh. I was hoping we would finally escape the 2.5 to 3.5 range. The music's not playing. Whoops, sorry. Riddle. Bring the riddle back. Where's the riddle? Do I not have the music here right now? Oh, there it is. I found it. That's the name of the song. For some reason, it's called Riddle. 2.55. Oh. All right. Well, Alex gave us the three wiggle room. So, considering how far up I am and where you guys are at, I think it seems reasonable to weigh it further in your position, and then use my little power to bump it up a 0.5. But oh man, it's so low for me. 3 stars, Mr. T. Yeah. I want it to get higher than that. Mario Party decided not to participate in the scoring round, so I think I have no support. Yeah, like, and that's the thing, is like at the end of the day, like, you know, this is our fun score thing. It doesn't really matter that much. So I would say, you know, obviously feel what you want to feel when you review these things, but definitely give your real feels. Tell me what you really feel. So, all right. Well, I think we're here. Is this good? I have to step into Thunder now. Yeah. I think this is where we're at. You know, I can at least say, playing this video game, I do have a smiling face. So, and if I really want to do like a more glowing video of this, which I might at some point, depending on how I feel about, if I can actually figure out what the heck I want to say about this game, it would be great. I don't know what I want to say about this game. I just know I really like it. So, but yeah, inoffensive. Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for the stamp. It's time for me to go. Where am I at? I'm gone. And it's time for you guys to go now, too. Oh. There we go. And here comes the stamp. We did it. We reviewed Evergrace. We stamped it. Oh, that pains me. That pains me to do a 3. Admittedly, I was like 1 on Sonic of the Black Knight when you guys were elsewhere, so I was really hoping we'd get up to 4 at least. But it's fine. It's fine. So, the community review, not a Ben review. Cool. Well, yeah, Evergrace is cool. We will probably play Forever Kingdom at some point. So, when that time comes, we will Forever Kingdom. I do not own a copy of Forever Kingdom still, so I gotta figure out what that situation's gonna look like. But we will get there. So,